Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Semi-Professional Academic Podcast. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me, Jacob Watts. And joining me today is a wonderful person, my Taylor Swift duet karaoke partner, and the person who's introduced me to the term Fish Find Fridays, Valerie Thompson, or as I call her, Val.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on this podcast. I've been counting down the days to be on here, so I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. You know, she's really excited to get her community service over with.
Exactly, yeah. It may or may not be court ordered, but it's fine. No. Kidding for all the professionals listening.
Well, we'll keep it semi-professional for a reason.
Right.
But no, Val, thank you so much for joining us today. I know, busy schedule, last semester of the year.
Yeah, I know. It's coming up. Graduation less than a month. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming on. It's so fun. I just want to give a little bit of context to everyone. 90% of mine and Val's conversation is thank you so much. No, thank you. Thank you.
Literally, it is. We're the most polite friends ever.
I know, right? So, Val, are you ready to get started?
So ready.
So, Val, obviously, we're friends, and I know, all these already, but for the people who may not be as familiar with you, would you mind giving, a little bit of background of, who you are, where you're from, that kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. So, again, my name's Val Thompson. I am currently right now a second-year master's student at EIU with Jacob, but I'm in the Center for Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences, and so basically I study fish. But growing up, I grew up in Milford, Ohio. It's a small suburb right outside of Cincinnati. Actually, it's a pretty big suburb, but it's right outside of Cincinnati. And I ended up actually doing my undergrad at Eastern as well. I was recruited to play softball here, and so I played softball here for 4 years and got my degree in environmental biology, and then kind of got recruited into the graduate assistantship here and decided I didn't want to pay for grad school. So decided to take that and become a fish person. And so, yeah, that's just a super brief overview of me. But yeah, EIU roll thirds till I die, baby.
Nice. So I just have to ask this because I'm a fan of Skyline chili.
Oh my gosh, we could spend this whole podcast on Skyline chili, and I'm glad that you're someone that enjoys it because it is my all-time favorite food. I get so much flack for it. Everyone roasts me for it, but I will be loyal to Skyline until I die.
It's so good.
Yes.
I'm not here for the slander. I mean, of all the things you can make fun of Ohio, Skyline is not one.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot more things that are a lot worse about Ohio, but Skyline is not one of them. So
no, it's so good. And I toured a couple colleges in Ohio, and I was just breaking them, be okay, the nearest Skyline
Literally.
And I'm not gonna lie, it affected the rankings quite a bit.
Dude, I know. The closest Skyline to here is in Indianapolis, and I have checked. So that's when I get homesick, that's what I miss from home, I guess. But yeah.
Is just Skyline?
Yeah, just Skyline. And my dogs.
Oh, yeah,
but,
of course.
Yeah, those
totally.
are the two main things.
Yeah. So just because I'm intrigued, we know that you came here to play softball.
Mm-hmm.
And did you find it was hard trying to balance that expectations of being a student athlete at a D1 college while also being a woman in STEM and being a college student?
Wow, that is such a great question. Yeah, I mean, I think it really did have to grow me in time management, and it really was a challenge at sometimes. I know Eastern isn't exactly the equivalent to Harvard, and so I'm sure a lot of other student athletes and women in STEM, have it a lot harder than I did here at Eastern. But yeah, I mean, having practice, 4+ hours a day, plus weights, plus, trying to get meals in, trying to rest. And then, of course, from my sophomore year on, I was doing research outside of that as well, where I had to travel and go and do field work. Yeah, it was a big challenge trying to juggle all of that. And just with college athletics in general, you tend to be defined by your work and the stats you put out, the grades you put out, I'm thankful that they really prioritize our grades because it kept me honest as a student. It made me go to class, made me do my homework. So it kept me ahead of my classes. But it definitely can get challenging at times, kind of just being reduced to what your work is. And so I definitely had to, find my worth in other things like that. But yeah, so overall, I think it just really grew me in time management and kind of set me up really nicely for grad school, honestly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, well, because I was kind of interesting because, I mean, for me, I played D3 tennis for a year and a half, so not the same. But no, I really can attest, you really had to kind of keep on top of it. And so in addition to time management, did it kind of, and I know you talked about it kept you honest as a student, but Are you grateful for like having that kind of like all that responsibilities? Because it not only like taught you time management, but do you think it also taught you how to be more efficient with your time as well?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, with just the little time I had in the day, it's like I couldn't just, sit on my phone for hours. And then, because if I did, then I'd have to stay up super late working on homework. And then I'd be tired at practice the next day and I wouldn't perform well and things like that. But yeah, it taught me to be really efficient with my time. I don't know. It taught me to be a multitasker. And yeah, although it was like a lot of times, like I'm kind of thankful for the structure it provided as well. Just like we had to go to class, that was mandatory. And so I couldn't slack behind my classes. And during season, when we had to miss classes for games and stuff, like that really helped me out in my, staying ahead. And especially when, midterms and finals were coming up and things like that. So yeah, it's kind of that catch-22 where like you hate having people tell you what to do a lot, but also really thankful for that structure. And it just set me up so well for grad school now that I don't have someone telling me how to do that and I have to do it myself. And so just those habits that I formed from that have been really helpful.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to like ponder on this, but like, do you ever miss it? Like any aspects of it? It's okay if you say no.
Honestly, until very recently, I would have been like, absolutely not. I don't know. I think I miss softball in general. I miss playing. I really miss my teammates. They are just so awesome. And so I really miss the camaraderie there. I do not miss it being a full-time job.
Gotcha.
So, in high school travel ball, it was more for fun. You were just competing. You were out there to play. And, college softball, you're still competing. You're still there to have fun, but it is much more a job. And it's much more, you have to, which again, I loved it when I was an athlete, like putting in the work, seeing the results, but it just really wears on you as a person. And now that I'm not an athlete anymore, I have time to, still compete, still do things that I can have fun with it. But I have a lot more freedom with my time as well. I don't have to miss friends' weddings anymore. I don't have to miss, my nieces and nephews' birthdays. I don't have to miss a bunch of memories that I missed out on playing softball when I was forming, great memories playing softball, but also missed out on a lot of other stuff too.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I definitely feel like it's totally okay to have complicated emotions and feelings about things. And the way that you say it, like it seems like you're very grateful for like the structure it kind of taught you to have, but also grateful that like, I don't mean to shade softball, but like you've grown as a person with more opportunities.
Yes. I mean, it was a fantastic chapter in my life and I would not trade it for the world, but that chapter is over and I've moved on. And I'm also happy to be starting new things in my life.
No. She's starting baseball now.
Right.
No. But kind of like going off that, in undergrad, like as we know, you went to undergrad here like for EIU.
Roll Thirds, baby.
I want you to know you're the first person that told me that. And I went to a school whose mascot was Panthers.
Oh, no. Yeah, it was like a baseball team thing. So the softball team adopted it. And everyone who's not on the softball or baseball team roasts me for it. But it's fine.
I like it. I think it's cool.
Thank you.
So I kind of wanted to ask, like, was it weird going from a school that you spent 4 years in undergrad for, and then now stepping into this like grad school role with all these professors and faculty members that you're familiar with, like in a somewhat familiar position, but also entirely new at the same time?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really was weird. Especially, I think the weirdest transition for me, honestly, was not being an athlete anymore. In undergrad, I had access to a bunch of services that athletes have, to like the athlete, study building. I knew all of the athletes on campus. And so just felt a lot more connected to the heart of campus. And now as a grad student, it really is just kind of doing field work, doing my research, going to class when we can. And so I feel a lot less connected to the campus. In addition, now I'm on a first name basis with almost all of my professors. And before, you were like, Dr. this, Dr. that, like, signing all of making the most formal emails ever.
Literally.
Being like, yeah. So I, signing like sincerely for everyone. And now I sign all my emails, best fishes.
I love your best fishes.
Thank you.
I was just like, you know what? This is a bit that she commits to, and I love it. I respect it. Also, I'm not going to lie, like being able to call people by their first name feeds into my God complex.
It is such a power trip.
I tell everyone, grad school is where you simultaneously are feeding your God complex and your imposter syndrome.
Yes, that is so true. Literally one day I'll be like, I am the best person alive. And then I'll be like, I just made so many mistakes in my research.
No, literally, I will walk in to be like, you know what? I don't know why anyone else tries. Like,
Yeah.
it is me. And then there's some days where we're like, I don't know why I try.
Right.
Like, anymore.
Yeah, definitely keeps you humble, but sometimes boosts your ego a little bit.
Yeah. It's, if, yeah, I'm bragging. Yeah. I'm sorry for my English, everybody. It's my first language. But kind of like focusing more like a little bit on your undergrad. Like you said, you were like majored in environmental biology.
Yep.
Can you talk us like through like a little bit more like that for people who may not know like the distinction between like just plain cut biology majors and then environmental biology majors?
Yeah. So actually, one of the reasons that when I was being recruited for softball that I chose to go to Eastern is because, you know, a lot of the schools that I was looking at to do a biology degree that was also related to environmental sciences, you would have had a double major in biological sciences and environmental sciences. But EIU had this option called environmental biology. And essentially what it is you go through all of the same general education, all of the same class requirements that a regular biology major goes through. And then you have some different core classes like ecology and evolution or environmental health and sustainability, things like that that are a lot more focused on the environmental side of things. And so essentially it is kind of like an environmental sciences degree, but it also like really gives you that background in biology as well.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was such a happy medium. It was great.
Yeah, I love that. And did you know that like you always wanted to study that, or what kind of led you to like, oh, I'll give this a try?
Yeah, so I kind of was set up for it from the wee ages of my life, but so both of my parents worked for the Department of Natural Resources in Ohio.
Oh.
Yeah, so kind of got set up for this. And so I grew up, hunting and fishing, and, my parents just did a really great job. They weren't biologists, but they still, worked in natural resources and just really fostered a love for the environment in me. And, just really being a steward of the environment, really caring about conservation. And I'm a huge advocate of, getting kids involved in the great outdoors and, the saying like close enough to care. And yeah, just really fostering a love for people at a young age. But then, in middle school, when I really started getting into softball, that meant that I was getting injured a lot. And I spent a ton of time in physical therapy all throughout middle school and high school. And so I actually decided I wanted to do athletic training.
Yeah.
And so I was like kind of dead set on that, looking at colleges that had athletic training programs. Was really excited for that. And then I took AP Bio my senior year of high school. And I was like, JK, this is actually the coolest thing ever. I really want to do biology now. And I just remember just kind of weighing the pros and cons of each career field and, seeing how competitive both of them were. And I was like, you know what, like athletic training would probably be a really like steady paying, like fun, easy, rewarding job. But I was like, man, I just really am passionate about, nature. I'm really passionate about biology and just conservation, things like that. And so that's kind of how I landed on that. But
I love that. And I think a lot of times, especially within the United States, like we're focused to be like, find a job that pays well, find a job that pays well.
Yes.
But I think a lot of people don't realize like you spend like most of your life at work. And I'm just glad that like you said, like athletic training would have been fine. It would have been very rewarding. I'm sure you would have done well. But I'm glad that you chose something that like you were passionate about, that you liked. And because work is work no matter what. But, like,
right.
when you're passionate about something, like it really does. I don't know. It kind of like brings you in a little bit more.
Yes. And I don't think anyone will ever accuse me of going into fisheries for the money. So yeah, it definitely.
She got that fish money.
Right. So yeah, it definitely is a career that you have to be passionate about. But, that's the thing, like, as hard as grad school has been, like every day, like I get to be paid to go out on a boat and go fishing, like that is amazing. Like who else gets to say that they get to do that? A lot of people, but it's like still like pretty cool.
Not at our age though.
Right. Exactly.
And before like we get into like grad school specifically, because you and I are like some of the youngest in our cohort. Because how old were you when you started grad school?
I was 22, feeling 22.
Oh, same.
Ooh.
Same. We just did the finger thing. Like, what is that called?
I don't know, but I like it.
Yeah. I felt like, whatever. Something cool. 2000 kids will understand.
Right.
But this might have just been me, but like, because like I came from like out of state and everything. But when you're starting grad school, and I didn't know this, the average grad student age at Eastern is 31.
Oh my gosh,
And
average?
I know that's average. That's they said at the Grad Expo, which we'll talk about again later.
Oh my
so
goodness.
I know I'm foreshadowing like Taylor Swift, but
Right.
but so when you hear that and like the average grad student's 31 and Val and I are 23. Are you 23 yet?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
About
okay.
to turn 24.
Same. When's your birthday?
May 19th, because yours is May
I'm
20th. Yes.
I know this.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
My brain's on power save mode, guys.
Right.
I'm so sorry.
Taurus buddies, it's fine.
What?
I said Taurus? I don't know how you say it. Our Gemini.
I'm Gemini.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, when's the cutoff?
I think I literally am like at the beginning.
Oh, just kidding.
I think like the cutoff's May 21st.
Oh, dang, I just barely made it.
I know.
Oof.
I know. You know, but like this is like why we vibe. Like
Yeah.
I always say like
Put it on the blooper reel. It's fine.
Yeah. I say May baby's always like
Oh yeah.
we just
we vibe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so like back to what I was saying. So like when you're 22, Val and I are gonna graduate, like go through commencement
Mm-hmm.
at 23.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people who 28, 30, 31, 35 or older. And like I want to stress we're not shaming that, but then like when you come in straight out of undergrad, not really having a whole lot of experience, if any, especially not a lot of workforce experience, and you have all these people who've like done projects, like have all these accolades, and you're just like And so I don't know, like, did you feel that way, or was I just like a very insecure person?
No, not at all. Honestly, that was probably one of my biggest struggles in grad school, was going into grad school so young, straight out of college, no experience. And so it actually, the way it worked out was I was actually planning on playing my 5th year of softball, my first year of grad school.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of pipe dream that was because there is no way I could have juggled both. But it just ended up working out where I decided it was best, you know, for my mental health, for my, schooling, everything, to just stop after my 4 years. And so, yeah, praise God that I did not play softball my first year of grad school, because I would have been a hot mess express the whole time. But that being said, like, I had already like signed the papers to go to grad school before I decided not to play softball.
Yeah.
And so that kind of led into me going into grad school right away. And yeah, it was really hard, especially in fisheries. It is all experience-based. Like, you can learn a lot, you know, just from reading articles, things like that. But, I mean, Jacob, when I'm telling you, I did not know how to drive a boat. I did not know how to do any of the techniques that people were doing. I did not know half of the fish ID. I literally am about to have my master's in fisheries science. And when I started, I thought that, like, all sunfish were bluegill. So... my fish friends are going to make fun of me for that, but I don't know. It's just like, I just did not have a ton of experience. I knew that I liked to fish. I had a basic biology background. I had a basic, you know, research methodology background. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, I am so thankful to all of my lab mates, because they were so patient with me my first month of work when I literally had no idea what was going on. I was making mistakes like every 5 minutes, and, you know, like, crashing the boat, and, you know, like,
crashed the boat
only twice, but it's okay. Nothing.
You know, it's 3 strikes, you're out.
Exactly, exactly. I speak softball language. But yeah, it's okay. Nothing was horribly broken. Nobody died. So
that's a win.
I'm good at driving boats now, you know? And so
it's all good for the plot.
Exactly. And so what's a book without its ups and downs, you know?
Literally. What's a roller coaster without some up and downs?
Exactly. Boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, in grad school, I mean, I would go home at night just so discouraged, wanting to quit, wanting to drop out, like so embarrassed that my lab mates just saw me do these most stupid mistakes ever. And I just kind of had to realize, like, you know, I'm learning, like, they understand that I'm learning, and, you know, the only way I'm going to get better is learning from my mistakes and just trying new things. And that's super scary. But, you know, the more I tried those things, the more I drove the boat, the more I, you know, ran electrofishing runs or helped pull nets or, you know, like helped do fish ID, the better I got. And now I'm super confident in all of those areas, you know, and yeah, like in a very short time. And so, yeah, now it's like I only have that 2 years of experience, but I feel so prepared, you know, to graduate with this degree. And I feel like I really have set myself up for success in the future. And so, I don't know, for anyone listening that's like really scared because they don't have a ton of experience, like, definitely recommend getting experience before grad school, because it makes your life easier. But if you don't have any and you're getting ready to start, like, it's not the end of the world. Like, you'll graduate, you'll get your degree, you'll get experience, and that's honestly the most important thing in grad school is just learning as much as you can while you're there.
Well said.
Oh, thank you. Just right off the top of the old dome.
I feel like Family Feud. Like, good answer.
Thank you.
Good answer. No, and I'm so glad you talk about that because, like, I mean, I'm not in fisheries or anything, but like for my project, I was like when you know, like when you're in like that stage of like developing your project of like what you're gonna do, I was like, okay, well, like let's look at something with gall wasps because then Dr. Lee will help me. And he told me about these things and I have no idea about them. So that's going to be fine. And then I was like, oh, let's look at Wolbachia or whatever. And like casual, not realizing that like no one's looked at this yet in the United States. And so I was just like, cool, party, slay. And then I was like, hey, I'm not really sure like what this one is. And he goes, you don't know this? I was like, no, I learned about them literally 2 seconds ago. so like I want to thank like especially my lab mates Sean and Sunita if they ever listen to this, which they probably won't, but yeah, no, because like they both had like some experience because like they were both 26 when they started grad school, and then I was just like 22. I was like, hi,
yeah, 22,
literally, and just kind of like. You're in over your head a little bit, but then also like I'm very egotistical and I'm like, I'm just so young and successful. But no, and like I just really want to like thank them and Dr. Lee was full stop a little less patient with me on that, but like just like not really knowing exactly like, you know, like what traps to use, like what sites would be the best ones to go to. So I recommend to anyone just like who's like maybe starting grad school or is feeling in over their head, like just like ask for help and like be honest, because like 9 times out of 10 like they'll roast you about it, but then like they'll always help you and then like you'll learn.
Yeah, and to add on to that, like seriously, yeah, I was so afraid to ask questions when I first started just because I didn't want to sound dumb in front of these people that have been doing this for years. And I realized it's so much worse to just pretend like you know it and then do it wrong versus just asking in the first place. And just like how you were thankful for your lab mates, like literally I cannot thank my lab mates enough. I mean, especially my cohort, Alexis and Josh and Mitch, like even Alexis coming in, she's the same age as me, you know, but she had done an internship with fisheries before. And so she knew a ton of fish ID. She was familiar with the program. Josh and Mitch had a ton of years of experience combined. And so, you know, I was like looking to them for like everything I did. And even our second year grad students were really helpful too. And so, I mean, I just could not have made it through without their patience and just their like willingness to like teach me, but then like still be my friend, even though I was being really dumb and stuff like that. So I'm so thankful to them too.
I love that. And I think this may just be like speaking from a place of like ignorance, but like I also feel like asking like the older grad students for help like is so nice because there's like more humility in that. You'd be like, yeah, like I did this too. Like here you go. And like especially like I love like when first year grad students ask me questions because they're like, I have no idea what's going on. It's like, neither do I, but here's what's going on.
Right.
And it's
solidarity.
Literally. And because like full disclosure, like when I would see like you guys, like especially because for those of you who don't know, like fisheries, like a lot of your field work's like over the summer, like early fall. And so like you already had like all this like routine down and like I was coming in August and I'd be like, how's it day one? And I'm already behind by months by everybody. So like when you had like this routine down, I was always like, am I just like the only one that like is not thriving like right now?
Yeah.
And I just feel like constantly like in academia and life in general, but like we're focusing on academia right now.
Right.
Just like we're told like, oh, just like keep it together, keep going. And I don't know, maybe everyone else had it together and I was just a mess, but.
Yeah, I think the secret is that no one has it together, you know, we're just all pretending that we do. So yeah, at least with my lab, it's been good to like kind of lean on each other during that. And even like you've been so close with our lab and it's been so fun to just hang out with you and just like, yeah, talk about how like we're struggling, but like also just keeping it together, like things like that. Just girl bossing, you know?
Yeah. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Right.
I gatekeep the information from myself. I gaslight into myself thinking that I got together. Yeah. And then we girl boss it anyway. But no, I love being like so close with like your all's lab. My lab's so small. like Sean's gone.
Oh, I miss Sean.
I miss Sean so much.
Sean, if you're listening, we love you and miss you.
Literally a gem of a person. Sunita is literally doing like her second and third masters right now. So like she's got like other things going on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So it's literally like just me in lab sometimes. So like most of the time, like I'll go in and be like, hey, what y'all doing? And it's so nice. And like one thing that like I've really liked about like our like bio department cohort is I just feel like we're all like super like friendly and talkative, and like we'll just be like, hey, what's up, like that kind of thing. And I really, with all that we've had to go through the past 2 years, which Val's too nice to say this, but I will say this, we came in a pandemic during a construction project that took a whole extra year longer. We didn't have our labs. There were break-ins into the department over the summer.
The feral children,
autoclave breaking,
axolotl stealing,
oven destroying, RO shortages, power outages, the DI water pump breaking,
strikes, so many things.
All within 2 years, like really a year and a half. And so like there's just some points in the day where you just be like, why God, why? And it just, I don't know, just like having like everybody to like lean on and be like, hey, like, can you believe this? And everyone's just like, no.
Yeah. But here we are. Yeah.
It's just so nice. And I tell everyone that like really trying to establish like community like in grad school. Because like if I didn't have like you guys as friends and like everybody, like I really feel like this would have been unbearable at times, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my lab mates and like the other students in the biology department have been the best part of my grad school experience, you know, and sometimes I feel guilty, like it's such a cliche, but like the fish students really do school together. And so, you know, sometimes I hate how cliquey we are. And so I'm so happy when it's like people like you and Sean and, you know, Savannah, CJ, like that they've been able to like, you know, hang out with us. And, you know, I'm like so happy that we're all able, even though we're studying different things, to just be close and, you know, hang out. And yeah, like what you said, just like come in and be like, can you believe that there's a waterfall in the hallway right now because the pipes all just burst, you know, and we're all just like, yeah, I saw it on my way in, you know.
That literally happened to me during my first week of grad school. Like literally I was going in to like do microtechnique project and literally like a waterfall from the second floor to first floor. Yeah. And I was like, I get paid $1,000 a month before taxes. I do not get paid enough for this. And someone came in and reported it. And I was like, thank God, because I was not going to. Before we go to break, there is like another question that like I wanted to ask you. It would be great if I just stopped right there. But no. So, and you may have like said this before, but could you go like into a little bit more detail of like how and like why you got like put onto the idea of like fisheries as your graduate school research area?
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, like I said before, I have always just been really passionate about the environment and conservation, but you know, all throughout undergrad, I think I kind of had the typical dream of most, you know, young biology students. And I was like, I'm going to work with mammals, you know, and things like that, which some people do. And that's really great for them. But I think I just realized like that's a really competitive field. And I don't know, it's not as hands-on as what I would have thought it would have been. And, you know, I'm kind of a pariah in the fisheries world because I actually started out working with birds. And Jacob, you would not believe it, but bird people and fish people do not like each other.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm in Romeo and Juliet where like it's two worlds divided.
Oh my gosh.
There is some tea with bird and fish people. But in undergrad, I started out studying birds with Dr. Bollinger. Love Dr. Bollinger, one of my favorite teachers ever. And I was studying chickadees. Ooh. Yeah, and I loved it. It was so much fun. I made so many mistakes during it because I was just a young little dumb undergraduate student.
Growth.
Yeah, exactly. But it really did get my feet wet in, you know, the research world and designing my own project, things like that. And I really loved that. And so, you know, I kind of talked with Dr. Bollinger, and then Rob was my undergraduate advisor as well, and kind of asked them, you know, when I was thinking about grad school, like what kind of things I could study. And of course, Rob was a little biased. He's, for those that don't know, he's the director of the fisheries program, co-director of the fisheries program here at EIU, along with Eden Everett Fanta. And so, yeah, he's a little biased and wanted me to study fish. You know, but he asked me, you know, what I really wanted out of a career. And it was, you know, to work hands-on with animals. It was to, you know, make an impact and be a steward of the environment, work in conservation, do research. And he was like, fisheries checks all those boxes. He was like, it's one of the most hands-on disciplines that you can have. You have to literally touch fish to like weigh and measure them, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, you are working on research projects. Like you can work on like stream restorations, remove invasive species, work with fishermen, things like that. And so, you know, that kind of, and I always liked fishing. I always liked fish. And so I was like, oh, that sounds kind of fun, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, also, you can have an assistantship where your tuition's waived. And I was like, that sounds really fun.
that got you.
Yeah. And so, you know, it was partially that, just the opportunity arose. But, you know, it was like my first day out on the boat. I was like, yes, this is the job I want to have. And, you know, every day out on the boat since then, there's been some pretty bad days, but you know, where the boat breaks down or I crash it or it rains and thunderstorms or, you know, a million different things go wrong. But in the end, like, it's been so worth it. Like, I have enjoyed this so much. Like, fish are so cool. I'm certified fish person now, you know, came over, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it from the dark side or I came to the dark side, depending on who's listening. But, you know, so I just, yeah, I really enjoyed the choice that I've made and even heard that, you know, it's better to be trained in aquatic sciences and then you can like move to terrestrial biology. And, you know, Rob was saying that's a little bit easier than trying to be trained in aquatic sciences after you've been in terrestrial biology, I guess. But, which I guess makes sense. But I don't know. Overall, I'm just, yeah, really happy with the decision and really happy with where I'm at right now.
Oh, we love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, let's take a little break. And we are back. Val, we kind of hinted at it, but like in your work in fisheries and like your thesis and like your like master's research, would you mind just telling us what it is specifically and kind of like walking us through the less educated individuals about fisheries?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, hey, I was definitely one of those individuals when I started. So I have really enjoyed learning about my project. But to kind of give a summary of it, my project is looking at channel catfish in particular in the Wabash River, and it's just looking at population demographics of that population. Oh, that's really repetitive. Rewind.
Pause, rewind. Rob Colombo, you did not hear this.
But yeah, my project is basically looking at population demographics of channel catfish specifically in the Wabash River. And for those that don't know, the Wabash is, it's a pretty large river in the Midwest, and it forms like the Illinois-Indiana boundary. And so if you're driving to Eastern from Terre Haute, you cross over it, which is really cool.
I do that all the time.
Yep, same. And so, yeah, we've done some long-term monitoring of fish as like a community, a whole in the Wabash over the past like 10 years. And just from that data, we've been seeing declines in abundance and mean length of channel catfish. And so my project's kind of basically just doing a really broad survey of these fish. And there hasn't really been a specific study looking at them in the past few years. And so going to be looking at just the overall health of the population. So I take lengths and weights. I'm taking the ages of, or estimated ages of the fish. And then from there, there's some really fancy fisheries models that you can run. And it basically just, you can look at different minimum length limits. And so, you know, for fisheries, you know, people are fishing for them for commercial fishing to sell, or they're fishing for them just for fun. And there's a lot of times harvest regulations on those. And so, you know, you can take a fish, you know, that isn't smaller, or you can't take any fish smaller than a certain length, or you can't take any fish larger than a certain length. And so I'll be kind of looking at those length limits and seeing if they're effective for the fishery, if they're sustainable, things like that. But just kind of overall doing a population survey of channel cats in the Wabash.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I love catfish.
Thank you so much for walking us through that. Because and here's the thing to anybody, like, I know, like, for me, like, when in grad school, like, you become like kind of specialized in a thing. So if you put me down in like gall morphotypes and like distribution, be like, I got this, don't worry.
Yep.
But then like Val's over here will be like, so the temporal scale of like catfish growth. I was like, the what? So just don't freak out if you don't know exactly what people are talking about. Like that's just going to happen because, you know, like, I mean, it's not your field. Like it happens. And kind of like explaining like your project, like and the fisheries department as a whole have done so many
Yes.
conferences and presentations. So were these like conferences and presentations you did during your master's, like your first conferences that you did, like presenting like your own like work or like research, or did you do some in undergrad?
Yeah, so in undergrad, really the only time that I presented my research was when I defended my undergraduate thesis. And that was just, to my committee, to, anyone in the biology department that would listen. So I didn't really go to any conferences. And so, yeah, coming to grad school, these were my first scientific conferences I'd ever been to. I actually did start grad school a little bit late. I started in August, whereas most of the people in our lab start, in like April, May, June, around there.
I love you said it started late. When is the actual start?
Literally.
So many people.
Yeah. And so we actually went to our first conference that November, and I didn't really have my project, set in stone yet. And so I didn't have to present. I just kind of got to go for the lulz, and that was super fun. I was just in Baltimore having a great time, no pressure. That was really fun. But yeah, one of the things our lab is really great about is sending us to scientific conferences to present our research. And, since then, I think I've done one poster presentation, and I've done, I've done 4 oral presentations. So like PowerPoint presentations. Mm-hmm. And it just really is like such a fun way to share your research. Super intimidating. Luckily I kind of have a background in public speaking, and so it's not as nerve-wracking for me to at least be speaking publicly.
Right.
But it was really nerve-wracking to be speaking about something that's so close to me and something that I've been working so hard on, and to know that like I'm presenting it to a room full of experts that know so much more about it than I do, and so just that constant fear of thinking I'm going to say something stupid, or they're going to ask a question and I'm not going to know the answer. That was what was really hard for me to get over presenting. But a lot of people in my lab have said this, and I say this too now. No one knows your research better than you, your own research, your own project. And there might be experts in that room that know about that subject, or about, the species you're studying, or about your methods a lot more than you. But your specific project, you designed the methods for it. You did all the background research for it. Like, no one knows that better than you. And so just to kind of go in that with confidence. But it's definitely nerve-wracking, talking for 15 minutes in front of people. And so I am a huge practicer. I just like practice to myself over and over and over again until I feel like it's perfect. But sometimes that's helpful and sometimes it's not.
That's so cool though.
Yeah.
I have not done oral presentations, but I've done with the grad expo that makes 4 poster presentations like within the past 3 years. Cause COVID, like,
right. Yeah.
Some of it.
Yep.
But like, does it get easier like each time that like you do it? Because I imagine like that first time it was just like
yes, yeah, I think it does. I mean, like I said, I don't really get too nervous public speaking, and I was shaking in my seat that first presentation. I was so nervous. And just the way that these presentation goes, it's like the more you do it, the more you know your research, and it doesn't change too much, hopefully, from presentation to presentation. And so you're just even getting more comfortable with what you're presenting. But yeah, and I was just learning more about the field in general. And so I was more prepared to field questions about it that I wouldn't have been able to answer the first time, but I knew now. I'd learned from people asking it before and from kind of looking at it on my own. I was just able to be more prepared for that too. And even grew in confidence after having presentations that went well. And, people telling me that, my lab mates telling me that, my advisors telling me that, random strangers at conferences telling me that. That really builds your confidence as well too, and gives you, just the confidence and authority to give that presentation.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing more gratifying than like getting validation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never gotten it, but now I could. But like, not only like in like from presentations and like people telling you good job, you've also have like won quite a few awards for like your research and for your speaking. Mm-hmm. I mean, I recently attended the Graduate Expo, and you specifically, you won the Research Creative Activity Grant and I think it's the Williams Travel Grant.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So what's it like to like have all these kind of like accolades, like and like kind of like feathers in your cap in your career at like such a young age? Like, is it still like, is it kind of like, duh, of course I
right.
or is it kind of like, man, this is just crazy, like this is so cool, and like what does that feel like?
Yeah, it definitely, like you said, like it does give a confidence boost, winning things like the RCA, which is the Research and Creative Activities Grant, or the Williams Travel Grant, or even like a lot of conferences have specific scholarships or travel grants that you can apply for, and they help cover the cost of attendance. And so, first of all, I think that's great because, you know, it helps offset travel costs. And we're all poor grad students here. We all don't have money to just be blowing on food while we're there. And so, you know, it's super nice to do that. I know at the last conference we went to, actually, one of the girls in our lab, Sydney, she won like a diversity scholarship, which was really cool to see like a woman in STEM recognized for that. And
So cool.
recognized for her research. And so that was awesome to see. And just that we're seeing more awards like that. But yeah, it does feel good to be recognized. I think, though, throughout grad school, like I think it's so important to not just put your whole identity into these awards, you know, if you're getting them or not. You know, you're so much more than your research. You're so much more than these awards you're getting or these grants you're getting. But on that same note, it does feel really good to be recognized. You know, I think sometimes being a grad student can be a thankless job. You're doing a lot of the dirty work for, you know, a quarter of the pay of what a lot of people are getting paid. And so it can be pretty easy to get, you know, pretty bitter about that. But I think just like little awards like that are kind of helpful. The money's helpful too with that, you know, but
yep.
Yeah. And so I think it's definitely helpful. But honestly, the most helpful thing has just been thinking like, man, I feel really good that I won this award, but like even this award isn't everything, you know, and things like that. But yeah, even just like being a woman in STEM, you know, sometimes you can feel a little overlooked. And so even just like getting your name, you know, having your name announced at these business meetings where there's so many professionals there that are so important that you're going to be trying to network with, and just getting your name out there. I think that just, you know, can help your career so much, can help you network so much and make those connections that are going to be really important down the road when you're trying to get jobs. And so definitely feels pretty good on the inside too when, you know, you hear your name called and, you know, get your picture taken and things like that. And just kind of is a conversation starter too for these professionals that you're trying to network with.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just from the side of that, because, you know, not a woman, can't. Oh, no.
Yeah.
But do you feel like during your time in STEM that we're starting to see like more progress and inclusion of not just women, but like queer people and Black, Indigenous, like people of color who have like all these great resources to add and like voices and projects and ideas? Like, do you think like we're starting to head more towards that ideal, like very inclusive area? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think as with any area, there's always room for growth. But I think that even especially in fisheries, I've seen a lot of growth. You know, speaking from personal experience for women, I'm very fortunate to be in a lab that has a lot of girls in it. And, you know, like me and Alexis are two of the second year grad students. And so just like kind of having that experience in the lab, that's been great. And even our advisors are, you know, I've never once felt like they looked at me differently because I was a woman. You know, they expected me to do just as much of the grunt work and just as much as everything else as the guys in our lab do. And even the guys in our lab, we've been super, you know, fortunate with, like, they're just all really great guys. Like, I would trust them with my life, you know, any one of them. And so they're just really great. But even, yeah, fisheries as a whole kind of has a reputation for just being like a group of like old white guys, you know, going and catching fish.
I feel like that's all biology too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And
so, you know, you go to conferences and you see the older generation of fisheries biologists and it is just all white men, you know. But now it's like, you know, you're going to conferences and you're seeing a lot of grad students, you're seeing a lot more of just diverse people and, you know, getting to see all of the cool research that people are doing and, you know, seeing like those awards I was talking about, things like that. It's been really cool to see that. And again, there's still, you know, a long ways to go, but I feel like, at least for me, like, I feel like I haven't missed out on any opportunities being a woman. And so I think that everyone has been, you know, really, inclusive in that aspect and just really encouraging of me as well. And just like, I feel like people are rooting for my success and not against it, which is really cool to see. And so, yeah, there's definitely a long way to go, but I think that, you know, we are starting to make a lot of really good strides in that direction.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. And we should.
Yeah,
we should.
for sure.
Now, I just want to come back to like the awards, like just a little bit, because like I do like want to stress that like I'm not exactly sure how to word this, so I'm just gonna go for it. Like, obviously, awards do not make or break like your career, like your research or anything like that. But given, like Val said, being a grad student is such a thankless job. Like, I remember I literally had to drive 2.5 hours to pick some professor up, and then drive 2.5 hours back. And then I had to move an entire lab over like by myself, like fridge, freezer, equipment and all. And like so many like other things as that it's not just to me as a grad student. So like it is like kind of, for lack of better terms, a kick to the crotch. Like when like we're expected to do all these things because we get quote unquote paid. But so just having like those like little moments of like validation that like you are doing this is so great. And like the fact about it, like you've won so many in such like in terms of like your whole career span that you're going to have in such a small amount of time is just very impressive. So like congratulations and good job.
Thank you, Jacob. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
Wow. Makes me feel all warm inside.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. That makes me feel good. So kind of like coming back to research, we have the thesis.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And so
Thesis.
I don't know why that got me. That got me so good.
I was not intending it to have that big of an effect, but thank you.
That got me so good.
Thank you.
That's like your clown like nose thing.
I hope we keep that in there for everyone listening at home.
Oh, Scott shuts it off.
Right. No more listening.
No. So for those of you who don't know, Val just literally imitated a clown nose, like just by the sheer challenge.
Yeah, you just kind of say it with your chest, and I honk my nose for dramatic effect, but it's just my little party trick.
Please end your thesis defense like with that. Like, any questions?
And Scott will be like, "You did not pass." He's not on my committee, but he'll say that.
Literally could be Nobel Prize winning research. Right. Be like, no.
No.
But as far as like the actual thesis defense, like, are you very like, given that you have like all this experience like with presenting and public speaking, and you've actually defended a thesis before? I have not. My school did not do that in grad, so like this is my first rodeo.
Right.
Like, are you obviously like, I'm sure like you're very particular, like you wanted to like come off a certain way, you wanted to be the best version of it possible, but are you like looking forward to defending it because like you're like ready to be done, ready to like, for lack of a better word, just like close this chapter and like put it back on the shelf? Are you excited to like kind of like see it all come together? Are you excited to just get the fuck out of here? Like, or in nicer words, because like
right.
you would word that a lot nicer than I would.
Yeah, honestly, I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. I mean, I am just excited to get it over with. I mean, as as anyone who writes a thesis knows, like it's just this kind of big thing looming over your head for 2 years or more, for a lot of people. And even on like Christmas break, like you'll be like, "Oh, I'm enjoying my break," and you're like, "JK, my proposal's due in a week," or something like that. And so it's just a lot of pressure with that. But as far as like defending my thesis, I don't think I'm too nervous for it yet. That answer will change as it gets closer. But like you said, with the public speaking background, I feel good about that. Honestly, I am so scared for the comps, like the comprehensive exams. Like, how do you study for it? How do you answer them? What is the mitochondria? Like, I feel like I'm very book smart, but not necessarily super street smart sometimes. And so, just answering questions that I can't really study for really kind of terrifies me as a student sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think I just have to have the confidence that like I've done this for 6 years now with, undergrad included. And, I just know this stuff. So trying to tell myself that, but that's honestly what I'm most worried about overall.
If I'm going to be so for real right now, I completely forgot the comprehensive exam sort of thing until you said that. And I was
Sorry
just like,
to burst your bubble.
Well, no, because I mean, like for my thesis right now, I have about 15 pages written, and Sean's is only 22, so I'm not writing in.
Yeah,
and that's with graphs included in citations. So
yeah,
that's what it's gonna be.
That's what it's gonna be.
But I mean, I still gotta do like analyses. Which, Scott, if you're listening, I fucked them up. I'm sorry. But I'll fix them with your help. That's why he's on my committee.
Yeah.
But no, because you're totally right. And like, I mean, there were times like I would come back early from breaks to like do lab work, to put in like revisions of like my drafts, like my methods, my intro, like all that kind of stuff. So as someone who's planning on defending in May, like so ready to be done and just to run back to it.
Yep. Right.
But I'm sure you're going to do great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's going to be bittersweet leaving grad school for sure. I'm not ready to leave all the friends that I've made and, not ready for that part to end. But yeah, excited to finish up my thesis. I really am excited about my research. Like as hard as it is, doing the analyses. Especially R. Like, Scott, if you're listening, I'm going to need some help, but it's fine.
Everyone just take a number.
Right. You are not a grad student unless you've been personally victimized by R. But
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
The periods and commas, man.
Like, oh, gosh, they get me. Mine's the capitalization. I can't tell the difference.
Oh, God forbid you add an extra space somewhere. Fucked everything up. But no. I mean, like, we love R, but, like, calm down with the high maintenance.
It's a love-hate relationship for sure.
Yeah, we love what you can do, but like we hate the attitude.
Yes.
So like we know like the thesis is coming, like progressing, like you're gonna do great.
Thank you.
And then after this, you'll finally. This is gonna sound like worse than it actually is, but I mean like you'll finally gonna close the chapter on EIU as a whole because you've been here for 6 years.
Yeah, a quarter of my life, if you can believe it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean that's true.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. Like that's actual thing.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel like about that? I mean, like I know you're excited for like new opportunities, but like has it like registered in your mind like, oh, like this is like I'm done?
Yeah, I know it's weird. I feel like this is like the last excuse I have to be like, oh, well, I'm an adult, but I'm not really an adult yet, And so I think it is just going to be entering the real world after this and not just having that bubble of being a student, even though you have to do real adult things here. But, I have a lot of love for EIU. It's done me dirty sometimes in the past, but overall, I mean, this is a great place to have spent my undergrad and graduate years. Like, people I've met here, the experiences I've had, the memories I've made, like the lessons I've learned, everything, like I'm just so thankful for. But like you said, I think it's coming to a natural end. I think that I'm ready to move on and just have new experiences in life. But I think this is a chapter of my life that I'll look back really fondly on for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. It feels less like a cancellation and more of like a story conclusion.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Just closing another chapter, starting another one.
Yeah. I have this theory that like every phase of our life is just a spin-off of the original thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so from that, once this is all said and done, what's the plan next?
Yeah. So actually, believe it or not, even though I will be a master fisherwoman, I actually am going to be not working in fisheries for at least a few years. And so I actually accepted a job with a college ministry. Yeah.
Cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So, this ministry just had a huge impact on me in my undergrad here. And especially one woman in particular, she just, really helped mentor me and just really helped me grow as a person. And, I don't know, I just admire her a ton and I really admired what she was doing and just kind of, helping out college students, who are investigating their faith or, things like that. And so, I'll be going on to work with that college ministry and, hopefully impacting students in the same way. But I really hope to get back to fisheries in the future. This is something that I feel like in my personal life, I'm really passionate about that I get to do for a few years. And, I'm so excited for it. I get to work with some of my closest friends from undergrad. I'll be moving up to Bourbonnais, so away from EIU at least. But yeah, so I'm really excited about that. But ultimately, I really am hoping to get back into fisheries in a few years and get back on the saddle or on the boat, I guess.
I love that.
Yeah.
And, like obviously you're very talented, you're very capable, but you're also so young. Like,
yeah,
now's the time to like do what we want to do.
Yes.
Like, and I'm not dismissing anybody's like in fisheries, but like fisheries is always going to be there.
There's always going to be fish.
Yeah. I mean,
unless we really mess things up, but
I know. I mean, if it gets to that point, I mean, like, what are you gonna do?
Right. Yeah.
But that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and congrats on accepting your PhD position. Ooh,
thank you.
That's gonna be so exciting too.
Just gotta defend this thesis.
Yeah.
Which, like, you know what? To Lou, Barb, and Scott that's listening, be like, like I'm annoying. So if like you pass me on, like we're like,
we're done here.
This is like in sales what we call a win-win scenario. Like, so like you guys get to have another success. You're welcome. And I leave.
When you're famous later on, you can thank them in your acceptance speech.
What famous feline?
For gall wasps,
For gall wasps. But like my research has found Wolbachia in 2 species that's never been documented.
You told me that before, but I'm gonna act surprised for the podcast. But wow!
I know, I haven't said it on the pod, though.
I know, I'm so excited for you. That seriously is like so exciting to like have like new findings and research.
I know. And then Dr. Lou was like, "Oh my gosh, you gotta say like where you found them. Like you gotta say like how many things they were nearby." I was like, "Hold on, like I already found it. That's someone else's job. I found, they quantified.
Right.
I can't do it all. I say this as I've done like the bare minimum."
Right.
Val, thanks just so much again for coming on the podcast today. Like, it's always so fun when we hang out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, everyone, whether you are listening to this on your way to work, on your way home from work, or you overslept and realized, shit, I was supposed to go work today. just remember, shit happens.
That it does.
Yeah. And I'm the problem, Jacob Watts, and this has been the Semi-Professional Academic Podcast. Stay safe and always keep it semi-professional. Bye!